Now, Ron has a little brief, little rundown of the other side of the Kaplan family, or more, hopefully, of all their branches, the information he has. And he has a little Mac presentation for us.
This is, just unplug it.
Yeah, David, can he? Ron is Francis's son, as we just had the birthday, one of her children. The others are Stephen and Cheryl. Ron is actually our connection from the Bay Area to the Los Angeles branch, because he lives in Palo Alto. So we got to know him. We got to know in Central California. Central. All right. Okay, I'll turn over to Ron.
Is it, okay.
Does it work?
Yeah. Maybe I'll try to do it. We'll see. Is this about right? Yeah, so Jody asked me to lift. Is it about there? Yeah. Okay, because I hear the echo at about that point, but that's okay. It's not too loud. Okay. So Jody asked me to give a brief talk and to actually share some of the time period with Mel and Rob about the Rebecca branch, I'm calling it, and to give you, again, a little bit of the history, have some illustrations, some old pictures that we found of the early days, and then to kind of introduce the generations of the family that many of whom are here today, and kind of give you a feeling of who we are and what we're doing and so forth. So just to reiterate what's on the diagram. So it's Rebecca and Isaac, and then first born was Sydney, who married Ruth Sherman. Two children, Susan and Sherman is here. Susan couldn't make it. And Davine, his wife, is here. And then Kimberly and Jonathan are Sue's kids, and Michael and Jennifer. And we'll say a little bit more later. Maybe Sherman will get up and describe a little bit about what they're doing. Then my immediate family, Leon married Francis, and then Cheryl married Paul. So people can, as I call your name, just to kind of introduce you, their kids, Danny, where's Danny? Danny, Gary, and Julie isn't here tonight. My kids, I married Sue Levine, there. And my kids, Ben. Didn't I mention Gary? No, but it's okay. Oh, I thought I mentioned, okay, Gary. And they were all going to visit Sigmund. So I said to Myron, he said, well, those are all our relatives? I mean, could be, you know. And he said, no, they're just people named Harband. Then Mel mentioned that his father came, Isaac, my grandfather, came, and he was a motorman. This is a picture that we have of Isaac in front of the Muni streetcar in about 1906, just after the earthquake, I think. Then in 1910 or so, they got married. This is their wedding picture. Then they actually had Sid and Leon. I think this is Leon here, and this is Sydney. This is Becky and Melvin, probably about 10 years later, maybe. All this is in L.A. Now, Isaac in L.A. had a furniture store, and my understanding is that they started the furniture store here, and that somehow there was a connection between the furniture store and the luggage store, and that's how they met. There was some maybe in the same place or something like that. Does anybody, you know? So anyway, the luggage business, I think, figured in this relationship in some way. So these are later pictures, and this is Melvin and my father, Leon, both of them, Melvin and Leon, and you'll see there that they're both actually playing the trumpet, and they were actually very, very enthusiastic and involved in music, and that was a theme that kind of played out, at least in some lines of the family, as we'll see as I go through this. Both playing the trumpet there. This is at the house on Citrus, if any of you were ever there. And this again is Sarah. This is a blow-up of that picture, or a projection of the picture over there. So that's sort of the early history. And then this is again Sydney's family, just to kind of summarize, and then I think maybe Sherman can say a little bit more. Married Ruth Sherman. Sid was an immigration attorney for many, many years. Susan was a teacher, a principal, and now the director of elementary support services for the LA City schools. Alan, her husband, is also an immigration attorney. So immigration attorneys seem to be a theme in that family. And their two kids, Jonathan and Kimberly. Jonathan is an attorney also, but not an immigration attorney. He's working for the Department of Transportation, the Americans with Disability Act, and Kimberly is a dentist. And Sherman, do you want to say a little bit about your kids and what they're?
Sure. My daughter Jennifer lives in Costa Mesa, and she has a doctorate in psychology. She was ill a couple of years ago, so it kind of put her off. So she's now working for me while she tries to find, she has to get like 3,000 hours to do her internship before she can be licensed. So she's working on getting the hours and then filling in for me. So it's nice having her at the office, and we'll see what happens when she leaves. And my son, Michael, lives in Massachusetts because he's a diehard Boston Red Sox fan. And had to go to college at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. And met a woman there and got married. And I don't think he's ever coming home because her family is all from Massachusetts. My daughter, by the way, is married also, which I forgot to mention. And Davine is my wife, who it's coming up on 5 years. It's obviously a second marriage, because my kids are almost 30. But as I like to say, it took me 30 years to find the right woman. Trying to think if there's anything else. I guess that's about it.
Okay. So now, say a few words about my immediate family. This is my mother and father, their wedding picture. Now this is an interesting picture. This was a wedding present from Charlie. Okay. It turned out that it was luggage. Go figure. But these suitcases still exist, and they're still in active use. So, you know, the Harband Luggage Company did some really good, what? Vogue Luggage, was that the name of it? Yeah, okay. So, and you can see that they've been around. So not your flimsy rollerboard, you know, this is real stuff. Leon was an educator. He was a teacher, a principal, and a superintendent in the LA City schools. He was actually a swimming coach, so that was one of his teams. He also was the leader of the school band, the band, that's him in the middle with his trumpet. And then this was being a principal. When he retired, he got several commendations for the work he had done in the community as an educator and for human rights and so forth from the city and county of Los Angeles. And in retirement, he and my mother had a second career in the jewelry business. My mother made a lot of jewelry. Our house was sort of a factory. And my father was one of the sales agents and stock clerks.
And the muscle to protect
And
the
the,
shop.
and the muscle, the unfortunate. And finally, this is the whole family. This is on their 50th wedding anniversary, 1991. We were all together, my siblings, their families, and so forth. We actually took a cruise. My parents took us on a cruise to Disney World in the Bahamas. We actually saw the space shuttle take off, which was pretty amazing. So now, a few words about Cheryl, a teacher and then a mortgage broker, and her kids, Danny, Gary, and Julie. Danny is actually living in Israel now. He worked for many years for the Children's Television Workshop, kind of an international versions of Sesame Street, and now is the COO of a children's television channel in Israel. This is a news clipping of Annie with, I guess, the Hebrew version of Cooper. Of Oscar? Okay. Gary is former deputy district attorney and now a criminal defense attorney, so he went from the prosecution side to the defense side. And Julie is a sustainability director, kind of in commercial properties and so forth, sort of ecology and that kind of thing. Quickly, my family, Sue is a psychotherapist. I do research in psychology, linguistics, and computer science. I'm now working for Microsoft. If you're looking for a search engine, try Bing. And I also teach at Stanford. And then this is a family portrait that we have, Ben and Oliver. Ben is working for a startup. He's also the publisher of a actually fairly well-read blog in the stem cell world, Ben Stem Cell News, and he won the Grassroots Advocacy Award at the World Stem Cell Summit a couple of years ago for the work that he did. This was his acceptance speech. And this was in Wisconsin, where stem cells were actually discovered at the University of Wisconsin. And this has been with the governor of Wisconsin at that time. He's now the former governor. He was a good guy. And Oliver is a postdoctoral fellow now in political science. He's been at Stanford. He's moving to Princeton. His focus is on civilians in civil wars, and especially in Colombia, where he did a lot of field work, sometimes out in the jungle, which I wish I hadn't known about. Steve is a CPA. He worked for many years for Price Waterhouse. He's now a senior vice president of finance for 20th Century Fox. This is a picture of Steve about 15 or so years ago, and you may recognize that statue as the Oscar statue. And it's not that Steve won an Oscar, but he is probably the member of the family that has been seen by more people in the world than anybody else. And I think if this works, we'll have a clip. Let me, There's supposed to be sound. Hold on a second. So what I did is I solicited pictures, and whoever gave me pictures, that's what we got. Okay. So Mel is a very, very well-known physician in Los Angeles, now retired. He was chief of medicine at Harper. He was a very highly regarded instructor and teacher of medicine, private practice. Harriet is a psychiatrist, also involved in teaching and all the other activities as well. And this is an early picture of Robert, Marty, and Roger. Mel actually just recently received some really significant awards from the American College of Physicians, Lifetime Achievement Awards. This one was for devotion of a career in internal medicine to the care of patients. And this one is about teaching the medical students and the residents. So his work has been very, very well recognized. Rob's family, Rob, so now we have medical is the theme of this branch of the family. So Rob and his wife Sue are both, Sue is here, are both doctors at the VA hospital in Long Beach. Their kids, Isaac and Tessa, are not here tonight. But Isaac is actually very involved in music. That's his profession. And this is Isaac Kaplan's jazz quartet, and they actually play really fairly significant clubs and so forth. It's surprising he plays the trombone and not the trumpet. The trumpet was the family instrument. And Tessa, who's in Barcelona now, is now an undergraduate, spending the summer there, and this is just a picture of her at the Park Güell in Barcelona. Marty and his partner Bob live in St. Louis and are actually running a kind of local nonprofit newspaper, local news and so forth. And again, just some pictures and some snaps of that. And finally, Roger and his family, Joyce, and you've seen the stars of the family. Roger's an entertainment lawyer in Los Angeles, and Joyce is a writer, and Samara and Adam there. So I think that's kind of our way of introducing the Los Angeles Kaplan branch, the Becky branch of the family, for those of you who live far away in San Francisco and elsewhere and haven't actually been following the ins and outs of our family's lives. So thank you.